Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us for day, at this point I'm calling it day whenever of the Brown Mama Mindset live launch. I'm going to go ahead and invite some folks, so y'all just give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to scoot up because I got to...
Hello.
Mikhail, you got to turn the volume down because it's going to echo. And please invite your friends. If you're already in, I see some folks are already coming in. Please make sure you invite your friends to join and watch the live video. Give me a second. I'm going to invite some people. If you invite people, then it saves me from having to do the hard work of inviting people and having to be on this screen just pointing at it while y'all staring at me. So please invite your friends to come watch the video. As you can already see, I have a special guest, my husband, and I'm really excited about this because he is not the type to go live, so I had to convince him to go live with me, didn't I, boo?
Yeah.
See, we're not going to start with these one-word answers.
Yes, she did convince me under intense waterboarding and George Bush approved interrogation tactics.
No, it was not interrogation. You need to pick up your phone because you need to be inviting them.
I did. I shared it.
No, you have to invite. You have to hit the invite button.
People don't want me inviting them.
Yes, they do. People want to know. Okay, I think that's good enough.
Man, people from Brooklyn ain't like that.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Kira. Hey, Takia. Hey, Miss Desi. Hey, Jaleesa. Thank you for tuning in today. Whenever, because y'all know I said I was going to go 7 days live. That didn't happen.
Hey, Mom. Hi, Kia.
That didn't
Hi,
happen.
everyone.
Hey, Mommy. Yeah, that didn't happen. Just because them time things don't work for me. I say time is used by the devil. We should not have to run on time. I digress. So tonight we are going to be talking about, of course, the Brown Mama Mindset. Don't forget that it is on pre-order. If you go to brownmamas.com/shop, or if you visit the bit.ly link in the top of this video, you can pre-order the book. And you can actually order a book and a ticket to the Brown Mama Monologues. Hey, Stephanie. You can order a ticket and a book. Ticket for the Brown Mama Monologues and a book using the code BOTH. And you get $6 off your ticket for the Brown Mama Monologues. So don't forget to go ahead and get your ticket, because I think we are at 18 days until the show. So you need to go get that ticket. If you ain't got your ticket yet, you need to go get that ticket. So let's start off with that. But so we're going to be talking about chapter 13 of the Brown Mama Mindset book. And this chapter was probably one of the easiest chapters for me to write because it's called To Be Loved. Hey, Linda, thanks for tuning in. It's called To Be Loved. And this chapter is actually about the process of me allowing my husband to love me. Because as I've shared before many times, I was not marriage material when we got married.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Well, I was marriage material, but I was not a nice woman. And every time I'm making this video, he's always in the background doing that. Every time I say that, he's like, she wasn't nice. But I was not a very nice woman. And it was through my husband's love and his consistency that I was able to, hey, Esquire, that I was able to really become a person who not only could love, but a person who accepted love. And I think for black women in particular, for black moms, this is something that is hard for many of us. Many of us don't go into our marriages. Everybody always talks about black men, black women having to raise their men, but oftentimes we don't talk about the trials that black men go through with black women. And I'm very transparent about that in the book, The Brown Mama Mindset, just about the whole process of becoming, hey on Cynthia, of becoming a woman who could be loved. And so I'm going to put my husband in the hot seat for a minute.
Oh, God.
Now, we did talk a lot about this chapter before we got on the video and just some of the things we wanted to talk about. And one of the things that he had talked about was just about, you know, early on in our marriage, how he kind of got through. Hey, Tasha. how he kind of got through our marriage, because I will just be honest and say, and I think it's okay with my husband that I say this, that I was very verbally unkind to my husband, because I did not, my thing was, I had been hurt by a lot of men, and I thought to myself, I'm going to hurt him before he hurt me. So before he ever gets the chance to even think he's going to hurt me, I'm going to hurt him first. So let's just talk a little bit about that. So what was it like in those early days? Or let me not say what it was like, but how did you kind of get through? How did you survive?
Well, let's see. I survived. Well, it was tough, to say the least. But, you know, from my perspective, I just thought that you had committed to me. I had committed to you. We got married. You know, we had all the things that, you know, comes with getting married, uniting families and coming together and moving in together and so forth and so on. So I just felt as though I had committed and I wasn't going to quit easy. So I was determined to love you. And I knew that that would be a difficult process. I knew that receiving the love would probably be different too, especially knowing you and kind of what your background was and some of the things you had been. So I don't know, I saw something in you, and I just felt like, you know, I never wavered in my choice to say that this woman is for me. You know, we would spend our lives together, and I never wavered on it. You know, I got close a few times, but, you know, I just said, hey, she crazy. I expected that. I expected crazy, so, you know, I just had to deal with the crazy, and I just had to help you also grow. I mean, we both grew.
We did.
You know, I had to get over some of my stuff, and you had to get over some of your stuff, and so how dare I expect you to put up with my stuff and I can't put up with your stuff. So it was not easy, but, you know, I was just committed to us working. So that's what I would say.
So I remember early on in our marriage when I kind of had like the turning point when I kind of really started looking at myself as a first, because during most of the early years of our marriage, I was really like, just like, he's the problem. I'm not the problem. He's the problem. We keep arguing because.
Yo, listen, you are interrupting the non-verbal communication I'm having with the audience. So just go ahead.
So I just thought that he was the problem. Like, I would refuse. It didn't matter how many arguments we got, and I would refuse to look at myself as the problem. I would always project him as the problem. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, early on, I remember when I started to think that maybe he wasn't the problem because he kept being nice. And so I would just be thinking to myself, like, why does he keep being nice? Or we would argue and he would go downstairs and just sit and watch sports. And I'd be like, well, I would be thinking in my head, like, why isn't he arguing back with me? And through that whole process, that's why the chapter is called To Be Loved. Because I know y'all remember that. Everybody black knows that scene in Coming to America when Hakeem says, to be loved, to be loved. Oh, what a feeling to be loved. Because I really did not know what that felt like. Like, especially from the perspective of a man, I had experienced love, of course, from my mom, from my sisters, from the different women in my family, but I had never experienced it genuinely from a man. And let me just tell you that Mikhail has always been there. Like, I had my oldest son when I was 19. Me and Mikhail met when we were in college. And even though we both dropped out of college, some way we made it back to each other. And if you are watching this video right now, make sure you share it, invite your friends. And so it was really strange to me to see him just continue, hey Siobhan, to continue to just stay around. And I remember when I got to the point where one day I was up in my room and we had just had a really big fight, a really big argument. And he did what he normally did. He went downstairs and he, you know, sat down and wouldn't argue with me. And I remember thinking to myself, just like, am I the problem here? Like, am I the problem? Like, I have to be the problem because we've been arguing for 3 or 4 years, and every time we argue, he just is nicer. Like, it was never a thing where he would be like, we would argue and he would be like, oh, now it's time for me to scream at her, or oh, now it's time for me to restrict her, or let me try to do something to get back at her. That never occurred. And so in this chapter, I'm really talking about, the fact that Black women need to be loved to open up because of so much of the trauma that we've had. And you had talked about earlier when we were getting our talking points together about a little bit about that. So can you share about that, about Black women not necessarily always being open to love and how you expected that?
Well, yes. I mean, I know I got friends, and I know.
And you got sisters.
And I got sisters and so forth. So we all know both sides of the coin. I know dudes can be dogs. I know, women get their feelings hurt, et cetera, et cetera. So when I went into it, I guess I just understood that, you had to get over some of the past pains that you had. And the biggest part for me was showing you that I wasn't these other dudes, I wasn't these people who had hurt you in the past, and I was a man of my word. If I say, hey, I love you, hey, let's get married, let's start a family together, then that's what I mean. And I don't have any intentions on, I guess I just want to say, hey, that's what I said. Don't take my words lightly, and this is what I'm going to do. Back it up with actions. So I just felt like knowing I had to be smart enough to know that nobody's coming into a relationship perfect.
Sure.
And then let alone trying to put yourself, bring together yourself, bringing what you bring to the table and uniting that with someone else. So I just was determined to be patient. Everybody told me that marriage was hard. So I expected it to be hard. I expected it to rain. I expected it to storm. And I expected it to be sunny. So, you can't be upset when you know these things the weather will be what the weather is. You just got to plan for it or adjust accordingly and play the long game. Can she might be mad the first 3-4 years, but can she be mad at year 10? If she's mad in year 10 and we still going crazy, hold on a second. Now I've tried my best, y'all. So it wasn't, I think when you commit yourself to something, you have to be able to see it through to your best ability. And if you're not willing to do that, then what's the point?
Yeah, true.
So,
I mean, it
give it your all.
And I'll definitely say, it was great to see how courageous he was. Because, really, we had some really bad arguments. And every time, he would just respond with more kindness. And so that kind of gave me the courage to continue in the relationship. And it also gave me the courage to look inside. Because I think in the Brown Mama mindset, that is a huge major theme that runs through the book. Is that it's not time for you to go forward. It's time for you to go back. It's time for you to go back and go through. And it's only, and that's what I ended up having to do, honestly. I ended up having to just go back, figure out why I was so mad, why I was so angry, why I was so ungrateful for this marriage, for this man who was continually being kind to me, and fix it. And I think, we have a big problem in the Black community with Black women. Sometimes we consider ourselves above reproach. We don't want nobody saying nothing about Black women and the way we treat our men and the way we treat our kids. But the reality is, many of us are hurting on the inside. And that hurt is bubbling up in the way we treat our children and in the way we treat our men. And that's not to say, that does not remove at all any, problems that Black men have, because they have problems of their own. And I've had to deal with my fair share of problems in my marriage from my husband's part. But that doesn't mean that I utilize his problems as a sort of jumping board for negating to look on the inside. And I think that that's what happens with a lot of times with Black women is we don't want to go through the pain. And it's interesting because in a lot of the conversations that I'll have with women who inbox me and will say, I'm having this problem with my kids, what should I do? And I'll always respond, be patient, look inside. And they don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, well, give me some tangible, there is no tangible advice. The tangible advice is that you need to figure out why you're having the problem. Everybody wants the how before they want the why.
You gotta heal. You gotta heal yourself.
Thank you.
And then forgive yourself.
Truth.
A lot of times you're beating up yourself for the stupid stuff you done been through, stupid stuff you done did. Heal yourself. First, forgive yourself.
Truth. And you can only do that by going through. You can't do that by going forward.
You gotta go back. You gotta understand why. Forgive yourself. Start to heal yourself, and then once you do that, then you can get back on the road. Absolutely. Or to moving forward. I think, you can't. The hardest part is, I guess, on both ends. One, giving someone else the blues because you have pain that they didn't even cause, and then also just giving them the blues and giving yourself the blues. And then you don't want to give that to your kids. You don't want to give that to anybody else. So you got to fix that part. You got to get over that part and live your life.
Absolutely. And I think we, sometimes as black women, we have a huge misconception of thinking that when we are hurting in the inside, we're only hurting ourselves. And that's a big misconception. When you're hurting on the inside, you're hurting yourself. You're true about that. That's real. But you're hurting everybody else as a result of your actions, your behaviors, even your thoughts. This book is called The Brown Mama Mindset. It is about mindset shifting. And what I mean when I say mindset shifting, it is about changing the way you think about your life. Because you have no idea, once I started really thinking about myself internally, thinking about how I felt about my husband, why I felt certain ways about my husband, why I felt certain ways about my children, that really helped me to identify those moments. And it's funny because I was on the phone with one of my brown mama friends earlier today, and we were talking about that, how, you really have to go back and identify those key moments that happened to you when you were a little kid that made you make agreements. We talked about this in the first video, unconscious agreements. We make unconscious agreements with ourselves to behave, to think, to do certain things, and we don't even know that we made the agreement, and it's a result of pain. It's a result of disobedience to your inside, to the God in you. And when we do that, we hurt each other. We hurt each other in we hurt each other in a ways that causes other people to make unconscious agreements, because now we're not only spewing out what we feel, but we're putting that onto somebody else. And then that person is making agreements with themselves about how they'll handle you and how they'll treat you and how they'll interact with you. And that the only way to cure that is to make a shift in the way you think. And so the Brown Mama Mindset is all about that. This is going to be about your mind. That's what it's about. It's about your mind. I'm not going to tell you if you put the kids in the bed at 8 o'clock and this is here how you do it. That's not what this book is. This book is about creating a mindset shift in the way you think about motherhood and realizing that motherhood is the course. It is the course that you are taking to get right with your husband, to get right in your career, to get right in the way you're parenting your kids, running your house. I mean, all of the above. I have a chapter on, that's why it's called The Brown Mama Mindset, a blueprint for black moms on life, love, and home. Because we're going through all three. And I'm digging in your mind and in your personal business because I am allowing you to see what I've gone through. I'm being very transparent about what I've gone through. And like I said before, a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, Muffy homeschools and she has a husband and she stays home and her life must be perfect.
It's hard.
But it's hard. Oh. Say that again, boo.
It's hard. It is hard.
Y'all have no idea what it took us to get here.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody today. I was telling my sister, actually. I said, you know what, man, it's hard. It's hard, the homeschooling, the entrepreneur lifestyle. It's hard. But one thing I can say is that it's liberating. AF. I'm not going to cuss, but you know what AF means. But yeah, it's liberating. And shit, everything else is hard. You might as well try hard for something that you want. So, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that is what it is. So I wanted to ask you, my husband,
Yes.
so, because, of course he's read a lot of the book because he reads with me when I'm, first of all.
She reads to me.
Yes, I do. I read to him a lot. So, what was your favorite part that you've seen so far?
In the book?
Yeah.
Well, all the stuff that, leads back to moi is the best part of the book. I mean, come on. The shout-outs is just, flattery. Trust me. It's the best.
Let me just cut him off.
I'll reward you another time.
Whatever. He takes credit for everything that has to do with brown mamas. Anything.
No, I don't.
Yes, he does.
I just take credit for the stuff that I'm justly deserving of. That's all. I don't see credit for nothing I don't deserve.
Okay. But what was your favorite part?
I like that, I just think that I like the part where you talked about having this unconditional love help you to see the world differently and helping you to adapt in a positive way that made a positive impact on your family, on your life, and then also allowing you to help others. So you went through this journey, or you were at a certain part in this journey that, you came into unconditional love from a mate. And that unconditional love from a mate allowed you was kind of like, you had the air and the sunlight, but you didn't have the rain. And then the rain came, which is me, self-plug. The rain came and it allowed you to bloom, allowed you to prosper, allowed you to be beautiful, and to show your beauty to the world as a bloom or a blooming flower. So that's what I liked. Just realizing that, all I was trying to do was really support you so that you could be happy. The way I see it is that, if you gave me a family, you gave me a home, and I'm indebted. So gratitude needs to be shown. So I just felt like anything that was positive, that made sense, that you were passionate about, that I should support you in those endeavors. And whether it was Brown Mamas or the Brown Mama monologues or the Brown Mama mindset or anything that came along during the journey, the rehabbing the vacant lot and filling up thousands of bags of leaves and breaking my damn back. All those things was because I believed in you. And so going back to that commitment, you make a commitment, you see it all the way through. When you got to understand that there's going to be ups and downs and you got to persevere. So I'm proud of you. That's all. The book makes me cry. Okay? Whenever she speaks, I cry. But the book it's like that feeling that you have when you see like a baby. You're like, oh, it's so cute, so innocent. But it's like when you see someone, I guess I'm a sucker for this. Because when I see someone follow their dreams, it'll be like America's Got Talent and somebody's got, something.
Oh, yeah, he watches
and I would be
all
like,
them
tear it
shows.
up. But it hits me because when you see, what I like to see is I like to see people follow their dreams. And I like to see people follow their dreams and be happy at it and successful at it, and to see how happy that makes them. So when I see all these things that you've done over this time, and I was a part of it, whether with support or just in different ways, it just makes me feel proud because it says that we're living. We're not just getting by, we're living. We're trying to do what we want to do. The visions that we have, acting upon it. The Brown Mama monologues is a vision. The Brown Mama mindset is a vision that turned into life. So that's following your dreams. How many people say they have the courage or the ability to do that on a daily basis? They don't. So those are the types of things that, strike the emotional chords with me. And that's why I love seeing this come out. It's like our fourth child, So,
it really is.
And so that's the best part of it for me, is just realizing that I played a part in such a message that's going to impact people. And then also seeing you follow your dreams is special to me. Yeah.
And he's been there since the beginning. And like I said, when I first introduced this topic for tonight, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. It's just real. Like, I didn't believe in any of it. I mean, not say I didn't believe in it, but I didn't think that, I didn't think I could make it big. And so he really gave me the courage. He encouraged me when I was working at the radio station. And I was like, man, I'm at the radio station working on Brown Mamas. I would do my work in like an hour and a half. And then I'd be like, I'm doing Brown Mamas and stuff. And I would come home and I'd be like, man, why am I still working at this job? He was like, why are you still there? And so he would,
go knock on more doors for Comcast.
He did. He played, listen.
Knocking on all types of white folks.
Listen.
Come sign up for this cable, because my wife needs trying to follow her dreams. I got to pay these bills, y'all. Sign right here.
Listen, he's done it all. He has done it all. So would you say that because listen, this is what I'll say about the book. This is me writing from back then to now. So have I changed?
Oh, you've changed a whole lot. You've changed. I
told y'all.
You still that little cutie I saw in the hallway like 18 years ago. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
still,
girl. But no, you have changed. You have changed quite a bit. You are you're softer, you're more graceful, you are much more beautiful, just because, there's just a lot of depth, a lot of layers, and, whether it's listening to you speak or talking to you or planning with you or fighting, being in the struggle on a day-to-day basis, just, I don't know, you just still my best friend, my peeps, my peeps from way back. So the good thing is, I was the master manipulator in the beginning. You know what I mean? So now we don't argue, because I don't argue.
You don't.
Because I don't win. Why play the games if you ain't going to win? So I'm not arguing.
No
so now she could just say, okay, she's the champion. Yes, you're the champion, honey, of arguing. So you won. When you calm down, we can have a conversation. But we don't do that as much as we used to. No, so that's good. I think we do a lot of working together, trying to talk and communicate better, and pushing in the same direction. I think you've changed in the way you deliver your messages, which was always my thing in the beginning.
Yeah, because that was me. I was just saying, I don't like that.
It's the delivery. Mm-mm. So I think she's a better deliverer of her messages and the things that are dear to her, and I can receive them in an open mind frame as opposed to defending myself. So I think that's and then she can see that I'm trying to get on the same page with her.
Or I'm trying to get on the same page.
Yeah, so we're trying to get on the same page together. So, and then she also realized that she also isn't always right. So I like that. I can be right once or twice, and she can be right the other 8 times. I'll take those odds for now. I'm working the long game.
That works for us. That's a good place to be at.
So, you're still
spicy.
You're still the lady I know. You're still the lady I love. You're still the lady I love. I like the way you changed.
So Keisha said, teach me delivery methods. You gotta write a book, Keisha. You gotta write a book. The Brown Mama Mindset.
Yeah, delivery. Be mindful of your delivery.
Absolutely.
I used to always tell her that.
Yeah, teach her. She gotta buy the book.
Buy the book. Be mindful. Buy the book. There's so much jewels in there. You could pass that down to your daughters.
True story. So just before we get off of here, I want to mention, because I know that there's probably a lot of single moms on here. So there is a portion of the To Be Loved chapter that is for single moms. And it starts off with the heading, Find Peace and Love Will Find You. And so I had asked my husband, I said, before we got married, what were some of the things I could have done to be a better wife? And just before I ask him that question, I just want to let you guys know that I know on the inside, as a single woman, I think sometimes we focus so much on trying to find the man. Because I was single of course, all before then, but because I was dating men, but they wasn't real men. But I was a single mom for 7 years before me and my husband got married. And so during that time, I was so busy trying to chase the men that I wasn't trying to fix myself. So just focus on making your whole existence a place of peace. Because sometimes we don't realize that we are inviting so much trouble into our lives because our focus is off. Our focus is not where it needs to be. And so rather than trying to focus on finding that man, trying to focus on, even being the person a man wants to be, you need to be who you are first. You need to be true to yourself. You need to do that internal work that is so necessary in trying to become the person that you need to be. So I would say don't focus because, like I said, Mikkel has been around since before I had my first son. I did not know this was we thought we would be each other's husband and wife, but I didn't know. And during the whole time we were separated, was for 7 years, I was doing my own thing. I wasn't thinking about Mikkel. But now that I think back, if I could change one thing, that's what I would change. I would have taken myself out more. I would have loved myself more. I would have not allowed people to come into my space that would desecrate it. Because what happened was there was 3 to 4 years of work that had to be done with my husband to even get to a point where I could be a good wife. And he didn't deserve that. That's just the reality I had to deal with at some point, was that he did not deserve to deal with all the hangups that had come from me being fatherless, that had come from me being, with men who I didn't have any business being with, that had come from me yearning for a father for my son. He didn't deserve that. So if I could give black women, any advice, and you'll read about all this in the Brown Mama Mindset, focus on you. Yeah. Focus on you, and also, figure out who you are before you get married, so you don't have to do all this 3 to 4 years work. Because truthfully, in that time, he could have divorced me and would have had all the reason to do it. Like, I couldn't even, when I would have eventually got in my right mind, there would have been no way I could be mad at him for divorcing me. Because at the end of the day, I can admit to myself now, I was not a good wife. I was not a good wife. I was not a good partner. I wasn't even a good friend. So be a good friend to yourself first. You be a good friend to yourself, and the husband's not far away. Mm-hmm. I'm telling y'all, I got a husband by the grace of God. I am telling you that God took me and was like, you know what? If I leave you here, you're going to die. So I'm going to move you here. I walked down the aisle and I didn't even know what was happening. I just knew that God was like, I asked God, I said, should I marry this man? And God said, you better get your ass to that altar. That is your savior. And so I went. And then I proceeded to act a goddamn fool. So that's what I'll say to y'all to end. Please do that. You want to add anything else, honey?
Yeah, and I tell my son all the time when we practice, I take them to play ball. I said, you got to put together in your mind the player that you want to be. Not who you are today, player who you want to be. If you got a better jump shot, if you got a better dribble, if you got a better passing skills, if you play defense better. And once you create that player, you got to say, okay, what am I going to do today and tomorrow and the day after that to become that player? You got to do the same thing as whether you're a single mom or a single dude. You know what I mean? You got to work on yourself. You got to say, okay, who am I today? You be honest with yourself. You know your weaknesses. You know the things you are, whether you petty or you childish or you whatever, or you just angry, or whatever. You got to say, this is who I am, the good and the bad. And you got to say, well, how do I make myself more well-rounded to accept my potential suitor? How do you do that? So, and all that comes back to that mindset, loving yourself, forgiving yourself for your foolishness, healing that pain that you've had, that you've been walking around with, And then once you're able to do that, you know, people will see that. People will sense that. The right person will sense it. Mm-hmm. You know, and only then will the right person appear, is when you have created the environment that will open your eyes to that person or attract that person. So, you know, you don't want all this turmoil and everything coming into your life, and then somebody with no turmoil and drama shows up and is like, hey, I'm ready to take on all your drama and your turmoil. It's not going to happen. Mm-mm. Get yourself right. And that way, when that person comes, all they can do is focus on you, and you can focus on them.
Absolutely.
So, just my humble advice.
I agree with them 100%. So, thank you all for watching. We appreciate y'all. Thank you, honey, for coming on. I appreciate you.
I'm retiring, folks.
No,
back
he ain't.
to retirement.
I'm going to force him. Watch. He going to be back on here because I'm forcing the issue.
The price going to be steep. The price will be steep.
Knowing him, he ain't lying because this one right here. So, okay.
Come on with all that.
Listen here.
Listen.
So, you know the
buy the book. It's in the book.
Yes, it's in the book. Don't forget, you can get your ticket for the Brown Mama Monologue and a copy of the Brown Mama Mindset by clicking in the link above this video, and you can get a discount on your ticket for the Brown Mama Monologues. So, we will see y'all next time. Thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for watching Siobhan. Thank you, Stephanie.
Don't miss out on history. Y'all better be at that show. If you ain't got a ticket, you better get on it on your next paycheck. Take $25 out, $30 out of your savings account, out of your 401. Don't be on the wrong side of history and say, oh, I made it to the second one. Well, why wasn't you at the first one? This is historic. Nowhere else in the world will there be regular African-American moms coming to tell their story. And these ain't professionals. These is people who got that inner gift in them and they just realized it. And they just wanted to tell, they was compelled to tell their story. Don't be on the wrong side of history and be doing something frivolous on May 12th. You better be at the Homewood Theater. History in the making.
Absolutely.
No lies. Get yourself a ticket. Bring your peeps with you. Telling you.
No, he gonna be there.
I'll be working.
He'll be working, but he'll be there. But
I'll be tuned in.
You can definitely bring your husband. You can bring the men in your family. This is
date night, dinner, and a show.
Here. Stephanie's on here. Tammy's on here. She's believed in the show since the very beginning.
Dinner and a show. This is perfect date night.
Yes.
Dinner and a show.
Wait, let me tell them. So we had rehearsal last Sunday, and Saturday. Let me tell y'all, every rehearsal is like a therapy session. Because like my husband said, these ain't polished women getting up on these stage. These are women who have been through life as black mothers. And they are willing to pour their souls out. And these stories, I'm just telling y'all, when I heard some of these stories, I was just like, said what?
Don't miss out on history, man.
If you don't come to this show, you're going to regret it. I'm just letting you know, you're going to regret it. And there ain't going to be no DVD because we can't afford to put that out this time. So make sure you come.
Don't miss the first one.
Yes.
Don't miss the first one.
Stephanie, awesome story.
If you in Pittsburgh and you ain't at that show, you done lost your damn mind. You done lost your mind. I'm telling you, you don't know. We've been pounding the phones and doing all types of stuff to get this thing going.
Yeah, we have. We worked very hard.
This is going to be a show.
It is.
Y'all better smarten up. Get yourself a ticket.
All right. Thank you, baby. Love you.
Signing off. I'm back to retirement.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Thank you. Hey, TJ. Thanks for tuning in. Thank y'all. Love y'all to life. Have a good night. And bye-bye.
Peace.